On the 24th of December 2023, a 26-year-old member of Ireland's infamous Gucci Gang walked into Brown's Steakhouse in Blanchardstown, Dublin. Armed with an automatic pistol, the young guy had his eyes set on his target, 47-year-old Jason Hennessy Sr., a member of the rival Hennessy Gang. Unfortunately, things did not end well for both individuals as they lost their lives tragically amidst the shootout. This is the bone-chilling story of Tristan Sherry, a Gucci Gang member from Finglas who lost his life shortly after fatally shooting Jason Hennessy. It was Christmas Eve, and Jason Hennessy was in Brown's Steakhouse enjoying dinner. At around 8 p.m, Tristan walked in with a gun in his hand, looking keenly for Jason. He was there to seal his fate, probably because of a gang-related feud. However, he had no idea that he would meet his end in the very same place. As soon as he saw Jason, he opened fire. The entire restaurant was engulfed in a state of panic, while people with their wives and kids tried to hide under the tables. When he realized that he had hit the target, he tried to escape from a locked door. However, there was no way out for him now. Tristan was stopped within a few seconds of opening fire, and he was stuck in the restaurant with the man he shot and his guards. Jason Hennessy had already taken bullets to his neck and chest as he lay on the floor, struggling to breathe. Meanwhile, his guards took control of Tristan, putting him on the floor and beating him mercilessly. Eyewitnesses and coroners later reported that Shirley was disarmed, beaten, and stabbed at least 30 times, all to the point where he lost his life. Instantly, the Gardaí, the National Police of Ireland, reached the crime scene, and detectives took over. Everything in the steakhouse was a piece of evidence related to the horrendous crime that took place. Therefore, it was imperative that nothing be touched or moved. After their preliminary investigation, the detectives said that the steakhouse attack on Jason Hennessy could be spontaneous. However, some hinted that Sherry's Gangland associates may have encouraged him to carry out the attack. The police also reported that Jason Hennessy was in a vegetative state and he was shifted to Dublin's Connolly Hospital immediately. But unfortunately, it was already too late. As he reached the hospital, Jason lost his life due to the gunshot wounds. And from this point onwards, the downfall of Dublin's most notorious criminal gang, the Hennessy Gang, began. The Hennessy Gang operated under the guise of various legitimate businesses such as a towing company by the name of Hulk Recovery. They used this dual identity to maintain respect in society while operating their illegal businesses behind the scenes. The Gucci Gang, on the other hand, rose to fame in Finglas, North Dublin. The leader of this gang was Glenn, who also went by the name of Mr. Flashy. They were notoriously known for flashy lifestyles and violent acts, primarily because the gang had direct ties to the Kinahan cartel. This affiliation with one of the most powerful organizations in Ireland gave them the power to expand their business in the Hennessy Gang territory. Despite knowing the severe consequences of taking over another rival gang's territory, the Gucci Gang made their move. Because of that, tensions arose between the two groups, leading to various violent attacks on each other. By 2019, this feud increased to the point where a daylight shootout occurred in Cordoff, and it was captured on CCTV. Retaliatory attacks kept taking place, and several members from each group were injured. However, they never reached a peace agreement. Police patrols, surveillance, and plans to intercept their criminal activities kept increasing, but the gang members never backed down. Because of that, many have assumed that Sherry entered the steakhouse and attacked the Hennessy Gang leader as a power move. The Gucci Gang wanted to show that they were more powerful than their rivals, and this was the perfect opportunity. However, they had no idea that they would also lose one of their own in the crossfire. Nonetheless, their main goal of bringing down the Hennessy Gang was achieved. On 5th January 2024, just a couple of weeks after the shooting, Jason Hennessy Sr. lost his life on the hospital bed. He had gunshot wounds in his neck and upper torso, which led to a lot of blood loss. Despite fighting for his life for 11 days, his organs eventually gave up, leading to his demise. After this news became public, the Hennessy Gang's era came to an end. A power vacuum was left in Dublin's criminal underworld, and the Gucci Gang wanted to fill this gap. However, because of the police investigations into the double murder, making any move right now was impossible. The Irish police had launched a comprehensive citywide investigation into the incident. CCTV footage from the steakhouse was recovered, which clearly showed the shootout taking place as the customers tried to hide themselves under tables and behind chairs. Another video, recorded by a person inside the steakhouse, showed a lifeless body on the floor with blood all around. This horrifying scene showed how gruesome the shooting was and how traumatic it would have been for the customers inside with their families. Following the CCTV footage and the accounts of witnesses, the Irish police force focused their investigation on identifying another gunman who entered with Sherry. They also wanted to find any masterminds behind this plan because that would make the case easier to solve. Finding the motive and the perpetrators behind this attack was imperative. Unfortunately, after weeks of investigations, the police had no idea who was behind the shooting of Jason Hennessy. One gunman had been eliminated on the spot, while the other one was nowhere to be found. But this didn't mean that the case was over. It was still a double homicide, and finding the men who mercilessly took the life of Tristan Sherry was equally important. The first order of business was to identify who the second man was with Tristan Sherry. Legal action had already been taken, and 6 men, including the son of Jason Hennessy, were put on trial in a non-jury court in November 2024. During the court hearings, Detective Garda Chris Durant told the prosecutor Fiona Murphy that when he reached the scene, he saw a dark-coloured Hyundai Tucson take off at speed towards the roundabout for the N3 and M50. The detective then walked into the restaurant, where he saw a body surrounded by blood, while members of the Dublin Fire Brigade attended to it. Unfortunately, no one ever found out who the second man was who entered with Sherry. However, the silver lining was that out of the 6 arrested men, 5 confessed to being rightly identified in the CCTV footage played in court. Michael Andrecutt of Sheephill Avenue, Blanchardstown, was seen kicking Sherry several times as he lay on the ground. He used a butter knife to stab him repeatedly and also hit him with a chair. He then smashed 2 glasses over his head before pausing for a moment. Seconds later, he started attacking Sherry again and took pictures of assaulting him with his mobile phone. David Amar, a 19-year-old teenager of Hazel Grove, Donabat, also pushed through the crowd surrounding Sherry to stomp on him repeatedly. The CCTV footage also showed Amar stabbing Sherry and hitting him with a chair. Just like Andrecutt, Amar also used his mobile phone to record the attack and make videos of himself while mercilessly stomping and stabbing Sherry. Another teenager, who was a juvenile at the time, ran to the bathroom as soon as the 2 gunmen, including Sherry, entered the restaurant. However, after a few moments, he returned and helped move the wounded body of Jason Hennessy Sr. When he returned to the restaurant, the CCTV footage captured him stabbing Sherry and stamping on his head. According to the reports, the unnamed juvenile stabbed Sherry at least 10 times. Joris Kumbu, a 19-year-old from Brookhaven Grove, Blanchardstown, was also seen picking up Sherry's weapon from a table and leaving the restaurant. To date, the weapon, which was used to eliminate Jason Hennessy Sr., has not been found. However, Joris Kumbu was arrested and put on trial. And lastly, Noah Musueni, an 18-year-old from Cordoff Park, Blanchardstown, was also accused of taking the life of Tristan Sherry. All of the accused pleaded not guilty in the special criminal court, but the evidence against them was too strong. The trial went on for months before the judge reached a verdict. In February 2025, 3 men, Michael Andrecutt, David Amar, and Noah Musueni, were found guilty of taking the life of Tristan Sherry on Christmas Eve in 2023. The court awarded all 3 mandatory life sentences. However, since David Amar and Noah Musueni were both 17 at the time of the crime, the mandatory life sentences did not apply. Their sentencing details are pending with considerations for their age at the time of the offence. 4 others, including Joris Kumbu, Brandon Hennessy, Jonas Kabangu, and Diarmuid O'Brien, were also convicted of violent disorder. Joris Kumbu was sentenced to 2 years in February 2025, whereas the sentences of the remaining 3 are still pending. After the sentences were handed over, the Irish police also carried out a massive crackdown against the Gucci Gang and Mr. Flashy. In April 2025, he was sentenced to 5.5 years in prison for firing an AR-15 rifle at a house party in 2022. His younger brother, Eric O'Driscoll, also received a 5-year prison sentence for using the same weapon. Both the Gucci Gang and the Hennessy Gang have been taken down now. Their leaders are in prison or resting eternally. The Irish police say that the imprisonment of Glenn Ward and the fall of the Hennessy Gang is a significant victory for law enforcement and their fight against organised crime in Dublin. But despite the gangs being taken down, the shooting of Christmas Eve in 2023 has left a significant impact on Dublin's residents. They say that these deaths are the prime example of Dublin's ongoing struggle with gang violence. It's a brutal reality, one that has devastating effects on the local communities. And that will be all for today's video. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications for more criminal gang stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.